Hi, I'm Dr. Denise Taylor and I talk and write about retirement and late life transitions. Indeed, I've been working in this field for over 40 years. And a question that sometimes people ask me is, I've got a nice life, I enjoy my life, and my partner is going to retire shortly, and I'm just wondering how it's going to impact on me. And this is often said by people who are not working full time, possibly not working at all, but they've got a nice life rhythm. So let me take you back to when I first started in this sort of work. And I was definitely doing it in 1980. And in 1980, if you think about somebody retiring at 60, then they were born in 1920. Goodness. And so if I'm thinking about people born in 1925, maybe getting married in 1950, the life was very different then. And what we often had was stay-at-home wives. That's what people did. They had children. They weren't working. That was their job, was to run the house, to do the cooking and the cleaning, etc., to provide a nice home environment. And they used to, because these pre-retirement seminars, it would often be for the worker and their spouse. And they'd go like, what's it going to be like when he's home? He's going to be under my feet. Literally, I'm doing the vacuuming and there he is. And he's like, got the paper out and he's, looking at the horses on the telly, fairly typical if we think about it back then. And it's about managing expectations and managing the relationship. And so if we think about more nowadays, often we're in households where both people work, but often it can be one person who doesn't work as much, or possibly they've already stopped working full time and they've developed more of a social life. And if I think of one of the people I know, she plays tennis twice a week and then she goes for coffee afterwards. And a couple of other times a week she goes to the gym and I think she does aquafit. And then she goes on for coffee with another group of people. And she enjoys, other hobbies. She does one afternoon, I think it's volunteering at the hospital. So she's got her own life. And she wonders what it's going to be like with her husband. And indeed, she did say that. He said to her, I can't wait to retire. We can spend all this time together. And so the next time I saw her, she goes, I just can't imagine how this is going to be. Because, if you put it in her, step into her shoes, she's got a really nice life. She's happy. He comes home at night, and they have tea, glass of wine maybe, and spend the evening together. But the days are hers to do as she wants. And let's think about when he retires. And it's like, gets up in the morning, let's have breakfast together. So rather than him rushing off and getting out and going to work, it's like, let's have a leisurely breakfast. And she's thinking, well, the morning's when I paint or whatever it might be. And then what are we going to do today? And she goes like, well, I've already got my plans. I'm going off to play tennis. And he looks a bit lost. And so and there's a lot of research done, particularly in Japan, about husbands just feeling like totally lost because their wives have got this really good relationship, life going, and they've just worked full time, full on for all these years. And it's like, and now what? So it's really useful to have the conversation in advance, to have a conversation where you're talking about how do you envisage retirement? I mean, that's a good question to ask and for both sides to listen to each other. But also it's about starting to get some things in place so that when you stop, if you stop full-time work completely, you've got other things that you can do. And when I run pre-retirement seminars, whenever I'm doing talks on retirement, I'm always suggesting to people that they start a couple of years in advance thinking, well, what is it that I can do? What can I join? Do I want to be doing some volunteering? Do I want to develop one of my hobby interests that I've never had enough time for? I've got two male friends who are very much into photography. One of them, on his retirement from a senior role in the civil service, he started to do band photography. He was really into music anyway, so going to gigs and taking photographs of the performers, which is very different to other sorts of photography. And the other one who had a different sort of job, a more physically demanding job, he wanted to just go out and take photos in nature and enjoy going to National Trust places and to Slimbridge and, go hiking, but just to stop and focus on nature and just take pictures of what might be. And other people have other interests. That's just a couple of which are quite similar actually. But I think it's useful if you're the person who has already got lots of ideas. You start encouraging your partner to start thinking about what it is that they could do and to try some things out. I remember with one of my clients, he said he was going to take up bowling, not Tenpin bowling, Crown Green bowling, when he retired. And I said, have you thought about this? Have you ever done it before? No, I'm going to do it on retirement. And I'm trying to encourage him to actually give it a try because he might not even want to do it. Anyway, he didn't in advance. And then he came back to me a few months later and goes, I hate Crown bowling. And it was like, well, what other thoughts have you got about things that you could do? Don't know really. And he just sort of sat there looking a bit dejected, waiting for me to just like give him a list of things to do. Indeed, I have a list of like 101 hobbies, possibly 1,001 hobbies that you can do, which I could give people, but I don't. But I think it's worth thinking about, but what is it that interests me and what is it that I want to do and what is it the things that I can do on my own and what are the things that I can do with groups of friends and what is it that I can do with people that might well become friends and what is it that I can do with my spouse, my partner. And I think with relationships, it's always so much better when we're doing things separately and then come back together because that helps us to have a better relationship. We've got things to talk about. So if you're one of these people who are wondering about what it's going to be like when your partner comes back, when your partner stops working and is more retiring, and or if you're the person you hadn't actually thought about the impact it might have on the other person, it's really worth thinking of that perspective. So, is this helpful? I'm always meant to say, give it a like and make a comment. But you know what? We're adults. I appreciate not everybody wants to do that, but there will be more coming through. As my next book is out in pre-production, that means it's gone off and I'm just waiting for it to come back with queries, etc. It's like, why don't I start talking more about these sorts of things and make it much more real? Nice, short bits. I could turn this into another book, but, thought this would be a big word. So another one will be coming up in a few days' time. But until then, it's Dr. Denise wishing you well in your later life. Take care.